combat section, we have an attack montage. We can open the drop-down and select our new montage. It's RM Raptor Attack. So now that we have an attack montage set, we need to add our montage section names to the attack montage sections. And Raptor's attack montage has sections Attack 1 and Attack 2. So here in Raptor, we'll add 2 array elements to attack montage sections. We'll call the first Attack 1, and we'll call the second Attack 2. So let's just run in front of a Raptor and see if it attacks us. And it's not, it's just idling. And if I went a little closer, it attacked. And that means I need my attack radius to be larger for the Raptor. So let's search for the combat section, and we have a combat radius. That's how far away we have to be for the Raptor to lose interest. I'm going to set that to 1,000. And we also have an attack radius, which looks like it's not in our combat section. If I search for attack radius, it's in the enemy section. So next time we compile, I'd like that to be correct. So I'm going to go into enemy.h and find my attack radius. And it's not in the combat section, so I'm going to fix that. Neither is combat radius, it's just popping up every time we search for combat. We're going to put these in the category of combat. They definitely belong there. So does weapon, by the way, so we'll put that there as well. So I'm going to save that, and next time we compile, that'll be correct. Now the attack radius needs to be larger. I'm going to set this to a bigger value, about 300, and our acceptance radius for AI navigation might not need to be so small for this either, and I don't think we exposed the acceptance radius. I think we're hard coding it. We can check by going to our move to target function. And sure enough, we've set our acceptance radius to a hard-coded 50. I'd like this to be a parameter we can change because this does matter depending on the size of the enemy. So we're going to make an acceptance radius. I'm just going to copy my attack radius, paste it here, and call it acceptance radius. And I'll have the default value of 50, and we'll use acceptance radius instead of 50 here in move to target. Now that's something I do want to compile to see in here. So I'm going to save everything and close out and hard compile from Visual Studio. Okay, so I've opened back up. I'm going to open all my asset editors. And back in BP Raptor, I'm going to take a look at that acceptance radius. I feel like we don't need to be so close for AI navigation. I'm going to go ahead and pause that montage. I'm going to go ahead and pause this montage too. And in BP Raptor, we'll search for combat. And now we have our acceptance radius here. This can be a little higher for the Raptor. The Raptor doesn't have to come quite as close. And our attack radius is now 300, so the Raptor will attack. Let's make sure that the Raptor attacks once it gets close. So we'll go ahead and aggro the Raptor. And sure enough, it's attacking. Now, it didn't attack again. It just attacked once. And it's not attacking again. And of course, that's because we need to go into our Raptor's animation blueprint. So here in Raptor, we'll go to ABP Raptor, and we're not using those anim notifies. So we have to use enable box collision. We have to use disable box collision. And we have to use attack end. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing we did in the Paladin. I'm just going to go ahead and copy all of these and paste them in here. And we can just hook them up and compile. So let's try this now. All right, there we go. So it's now attacking me. And I see it's overshooting, so it's coming too close. So that means I need to adjust these radius values. So acceptance radius can increase. I'm going to make it about 250, and I'll make the attack radius, say 500. That might be too high actually, but let's see how that works. And I might just delete that paladin from my world. Okay, so now it hit me. Okay, if I stand there, it's still a little too close, but it is looking pretty good. I'm just going to kill the paladin real quick. See if motion warping is working. Yes, it is. So if I get close, I'm still invulnerable. And I think we can actually fix that by increasing the capsule size rather than that radius, because the radius just determines where the raptor stops. But if we increase the raptor's capsule, then we can't get that close. So I'm going to take that capsule and increase the radius quite a bit. To about there, and move that raptor down a bit. So I'm going to kill the paladin, and the feet of the raptor are too high. I'll adjust that. Let's see how this works. That's looking great. Now let's see if I can even hit the raptor. Oh no, the raptor's too fast. That's definitely a very difficult enemy. But I did notice that the feet are a little high. Now that's only for the walking animation, I believe. And that's because it's kind of blending, right? It's blending between idle and walk. So that could be an adjustment made to the blend space. I think I'm going to go into minions, characters, buff black, animations, blend spaces, and idle walk run. And I'd like to see more of the running animation sooner. So I'm going to take this run forward and move it probably to about 125. Actually, 125 is walking. So I'm going to put it about 260. We'll see how that looks. So that'll take some tweaking. But the animations for the attack are definitely raised a bit. So we can change them a little. I'm going to search for RM and get my raptor attacks. Sure enough, they're raised a bit. So what I'm going to do is select the pelvis and move that down. I'm going to select translation mode and global space. And I'll go ahead and move it down to the ground and add a key. These are already root motion animations, so we shouldn't have to go and create new ones. So I'm just going to save it, select Raptor Attack 2, double click it, and move it down and add a key and save. Now the raptor is, well, let's see the attack animation. Yeah, now the feet are on the ground, at least pretty much. The idle is probably going to need to be changed as well. So I'm going to find idle and do the same thing. So here's idle. Go ahead and move it down, add a key and save. And I might as well take a look at the run forward. So I'll move that down, add a key and save. So little adjustments, things you find as you're developing. And wow, this is a very difficult enemy. Pretty cool. And of course I missed. Oh, got me. Now I missed. I should have hit it that time. And that tells me that our raptor probably doesn't have a physics asset. So let's see if it does before we wrap up. I'm going to go to buff black, open asset details, and scroll down, and sure enough, no physics asset. Now it's using a physics asset for shadows, and we can browse to that and see what it looks like. Here it is. It's basically some capsules. So we can have a physics asset, we can use this one, or we can create a new one. Now to create a new one, what we would do is right-click on the buff black skeletal mesh and go to Create, Physics Asset, Create and Assign. So if we select that, then we're given the option to choose our primitive type, which is capsule. We can choose other types of shapes, but capsules are pretty common. And we have auto orient to bone, so they'll automatically orient to the bones. We can choose to create a body for all bones. I usually don't, because then we'll have way too many capsules. So let's see what happens if we create the asset. Here's our physics asset. So this allows us to hit something when we're swinging for the mesh. So here in buff black, we have it assigned, and we can come back into the world and see if we can hit the enemy. I'm going to take a cheap shot and try to hit it from behind. And I hit it. So let's see if it can aggro. Looks like it's working. And I'm able to get away a little bit. Now, of course, it's not playing any hit react animations because we haven't set up our hit react montage. We still need to do that. It's one of our next steps. But now we have this really dangerous looking thing swiping at us with its jaws, and it's actually pretty intimidating. I think this is a higher level enemy for sure, right? Look at that. Now, we can always slow down that attack animation in the montage or in the animation itself, but pretty cool. Now, it does go to the dead pose. It just doesn't play the dead animation because we don't have a montage for that yet either. So a couple other steps before we finish up our Raptor, and then we can move on to even more exciting enemies. So great job, and I'll see you in the next video.